My Salinger Year, also known as My New York Year, is a 2020 drama film written and directed by Philip Falardeau, based upon the memoir of the same name by Joanna Rakoff. It stars Margaret Qualley, Sigourney Weaver, Douglas Booth, Shauna Kerslake, Colm Feore and Brian O'Byrne. After attending a recent cinema screening of My Salinger Year in 2021, it occurred to me that Excel could help with creating typos, just like JD Salinger wanted. This demo app uses a new programming language called OfficeScript to create new three-letter words. An online dictionary was added to the solution so that the definitions, if they exist, appear alongside the newly generated words. This demo shows how OfficeScript's programmers can add spell checker and dictionary definition functionality to Excel. Synonyms too can be obtained using the same methods. JD Salinger is famous for writing the following literary works: The Catcher in the Rye, 9 Stories, Fanny and Zoe, Raise High the Roof Beam, Carpenters and Seymour, An Introduction, and Odds and Ends. In order to operate this Salinger word generator, we enter a 1 into cell G1 to start the run. It takes around 100 seconds for each run to complete, the word generation and the dictionary definition retrieval. Let's now see the demo in action. For reasons of brevity, I've removed the portions of the video where nothing happens, showing only the word generation and the definition input. So now moving on to the technical part of this video, where I explain how the Salinger words were generated and how the definitions were obtained. First, there is the Power Automate flow, as is shown here. As can be seen by the presence of the 2 green connectors, the flow uses 2 Office scripts, one to generate the Salinger words and one to input the generated definitions back into the Excel workbook. The flow is triggered by a change in the workbook. That is, when a 1 is entered into cell G1. The Office script then runs. The apply to each loop uses the array variable input array to hold the generated 23-letter words. The 20 Salinger words are output to a Teams channel as part of the debug checking process. 2 variables, defArray and HTTP response, are created. The defArray variable holds the list of retrieved definitions for each of the 20 Salinger words. The HTTP response variable contains the HTTP code 404, which indicates that the browser was able to communicate with a given server, but the server could not find what was requested. The HTTP connector connects with the free dictionary REST API from dictionaryapi.dev. The link is supplied in the documentation. In the apply to each for loop, the definition for each of the Salinger words are retrieved using the HTTP connector and added to the defArray. In the condition step, the formula string, which also uses outputs HTTP and the status code, is compared to the value 404. If true, then the no word exists. Text is added as an array item to the defArray variable. If the condition is false, then a definition has been found and it is extracted from the HTTP body response value. Even though the HTTP response was in JSON format, and parse JSON connectors do operate on this response, they could not be used in this case for practical reasons. This was because the JSON syntax changes dynamically depending on the number of part-of-speech items in the JSON response. That is, the JSON changes when a definition contains an adverb, a verb, a noun, adjective, and so on. Each word has a variable amount of these, and the JSON for the 2 examples as provided in Appendix 1 and 2 in this document ranges from 1 page to 7 pages long. So there is a huge difference in the size and number of layers for each JSON response for each word definition retrieved. Creating a set of parse JSON operations as well as the associated loops and variables to manage this would be onerous to create. An alternative, much easier method was possible. As can be seen here, the string extraction formula was used. It extracts the first definition it encounters, ignoring all subsequent definitions with that same response body. Each response can obtain up to 7 or even more definitions. Only the first one was extracted. The final Office script inputs the definitions found into the Excel workbook. Moving on now to the Office scripts themselves. The first one, named JD Salinger typo generator, generates a string of 3 characters long using the math.random TypeScript function. A loop function repeats this 20 times, with each word being added to an array. The array forms an input back into the flow. In the second script, called JD Salinger Array Input 4, one of its input parameters is an array previously created by the flow to hold the dictionary retrieved definitions. The array is converted into a string, and the commas contained within some of the individual definitions are removed. The commas left behind are the separator characters. The split function is used to split the string by that comma character into an array. The array is iterated and output into the workbook column C.